Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Good Dental Media Insider Series. This is Adrienne, and today I am joined by Tim Hines, founder of Briteline Dental, a company helping practices bridge the gap between marketing and treatment acceptance through specialized patient advocacy and lead management. Tim is also a four-time entrepreneur, keynote speaker, author, and business strategist who has spent years helping organizations understand how to create better systems for growth. One of the topics we're hearing more and more about in dentistry is the disconnect between generating leads and actually converting those leads into patients. Practices are investing heavily in marketing, but many still struggle with follow-up, patient communication, and treatment acceptance. Today, we're going to explore where practices are losing opportunities, how the practice journey is evolving, what dentists can do to create a better experience while growing their practices, and just get to know Tim a little bit more. I mean, I've seen you in the circuit quite a bit. And obviously, we've connected at some shows. So I would love for everyone to get to know you. So thanks for joining
Awesome.
me.
Yeah, thank you. Really excited to be hanging out with you once again. And congrats on all of the stuff you've been working on too. I mean, I've got to give you a shout out, a fellow dental
Yeah,
entrepreneur here, crushing it. I love it.
it's fun. It's fun. This is my favorite part is just chatting
Yeah,
with people in the industry and getting to
same,
know them more. So,
same.
yeah, I mean, obviously, I've seen you speaking quite a bit, a lot of shows, giving some great pearls of wisdom to practice owners. You've written extensively about the gap between lead gen and then lead management because there is a difference between the two. Like you could generate a lot of leads, but if you don't know how to manage it, what the heck are you doing, right?
Uh-huh.
So
Uh-huh.
why do you think so many practices focus on getting more leads instead of just improving what actually happens when a lead comes in?
Yeah, I think the biggest piece there is around this perception maybe that practices have that there's a volume game, versus a like a quality game that needs to be played. And if a practice doesn't have the right systems and the right people in place to nurture and steward those leads that come into whatever CRM system that they're using, through to the consultation booking, that's where usually things are falling apart. We see that as like the biggest area of attrition in big case dentistry is in that lead management phase, that phase of having to actually do the follow-ups. And honestly, that's like that marketing to production gap where, hey, we're doing all this marketing, but why are we getting nothing out at the bottom? And if you look at it like a funnel, there's leaky spots in there. And that biggest spot that's leaking is that nurturing, is that management of the leads.
So what are practices missing when it comes to managing a high value case? I mean, most
Yeah.
dentists just assume that the front desk can handle incoming inquiries.
Yeah, I think they generally do assume that because I think that's what they're used to. So I think the biggest piece of that they're missing is the appropriate system. And when I mean system is not just the technology, and the workflow, but also the people and the coalescing of that together is what makes a successful lead management endeavor. And that's what we're good at over here. But some practices nail this too. Like some have, an internal patient advocate who's dedicated to doing that, and that's great and that works. But for those that don't, then that's where outsourcing to companies like us really help. I think the biggest difference between the thought of initially of going, okay, we're going to run these high value marketing campaigns. I'm going to spend a bunch of money. We're going to get these different type of leads coming in, these different types of patient inquiries. This isn't just for a cleaning, right? This is for a full mouth reconstruction or a high value case. It's a much different conversation. And so that's where I think the distinction between like a receptionist or a virtual assistant versus a patient advocate is so much different. A receptionist is more task oriented, reactive, picking up the phone. The primary goal is just to churn and burn on those appointments, where a patient advocate is more goal oriented and proactive and is designed to build a relationship with the patient and make the patient feel comfortable. That is ultimately is what is going to bring that lead and get them into your chair when it comes to high value dentistry. So I think those are two different camps and schools of thought, and very much your front desk that exists today is very much more on the receptionist, the front desk, the maybe a virtual assistant type of mindset versus that proactive one. And you
Right.
can train them, sure, you can train them to maybe become a patient advocate, but but it's a different job altogether. And
So the
that's what we
services
do.
that you're providing, are you training a new like helping them hire a new person and train them, or is that something that you or your company already provides, or is there something in between,
Yeah, so we are a service that provides a full-time patient advocate to work that dashboard of
like a
leads, do the
dedicated
lead.
person? Okay.
Correct. Yeah, we provide a designated patient advocate who will serve as that director of first impressions for the practice. So the office bringing in somebody is actually our competition, right? Having a
Mhm.
full-time patient advocate who sits at a desk in a practice is our competition. But our service is designed to be able to quickly get up to speed and be experts at just that one thing, and then not, thus allowing the practice to focus on all the other stuff in office rather than having someone dedicated to this
Well, I'm
on
assuming
their
if they
staff.
hire someone dedicated, there's expenses that go to that that are probably way higher than just having you guys you guys handle it.
And not just expenses, but it's also you have to train them, you have to keep them motivated. What if they quit tomorrow? Who fills in the gap? They go on vacation, they're sick, maternity leave. Like we're always on. We always have people rolling in the lead management for the practices. So there's never a down spot. We have consistent pricing that is competitive against hiring that full-time person, and we're experts in it, and you don't have to worry about training and doing all of that stuff. So I think there's a school of thought of like, hey, some things are good for in practice, some things are good for outsourcing, and ultimately that depends on the business and what you believe and how you have your business set up. But for those that think like, hey, this would be better to have, someone who's an expert handle this, that's where we come in.
I mean, let's talk about that. There's outsourcing is great. I know that, there are some companies that do well with that. But
hmm
when it comes to this type of patient, we're talking about the high value cases. Let's delve into that a little bit more, what that looks like.
Yeah, I mean, so you have to think about, put yourself in the mindset of a patient who has maybe neglected their oral health and is missing multiple teeth and is in a lot of pain, and it's been a long time that they've been in a lot of pain, and they're embarrassed, and it's affecting them at work, and
Hmm.
maybe they're not in a position today with to have all of the money just to pay cash for something like that, right? There's a very in-depth conversation that needs to happen with that type of person, not to discount and say that it's not difficult to grow your patient base on the cleanings and the general dentistry side. It certainly is a challenge. It's very competitive. But for this type of group, you have to have a specific type of conversation with them to make them feel secure and comfortable and give them the reason to move forward with this transformative part of their health, because that's really what this is, right? Some people can't even eat the foods that they liked to eat in the past, and they want to do that again. Some people are like, I don't even, we'll talk to patients who say, I don't even like to look up or smile in photos because I'm so worried about people seeing how messed up my teeth are. And so this changes people's lives. And so it requires such a different type of conversation to make that patient feel comfortable and reasonably set their expectations, especially around the money conversation, than it is just schedule and book them and churn and burn. So I think it's just so much more in depth, and there's so much more skill that's involved in that. So that's why I think, for what we do, all of our people are trained in specifically that. And so we're ready to go versus having to then, if you're hiring someone, having to get them that training in order to get them up to speed.
Right. So ultimately, that type of patient it's more of an emotional acceptance
Oh yeah.
than clinical.
Yeah, I
Oh,
mean,
the clinical is obviously there.
sure. It is very, very emotional. So that's where being empathetic, which is one of our core tenets that we train our patient advocates in, is very important in making sure that we convey that in the call, because we sometimes these patients giggle, sometimes they cry, sometimes they tell us long sob stories about their lives, and you have to be able to
Right.
navigate that while keeping the call on track. You have to, laugh when they laugh, cry when they cry, show like really make sure that that level of understanding is conveyed to them over the phone, because they can sniff out if you're full of crap, right? They're gonna be like, oh, I don't really believe
Right.
that you that you feel this. And so you have to be able to genuinely care. And so our patient advocates are really kind of like those trust builders. So they do that heavy lifting on education and the anxiety mitigation and the financial pre-qualification, all of those things that ultimately saves time for the practice too when they sit in the chair.
Trust builders. I like that term,
Yeah.
trust builder.
Trust builders, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So that's something that you train your staff on. Okay, so
Right.
let's shift over to AI because AI is this topic for most software companies
Yeah,
and
yeah.
lead gen companies. So how is this a major topic? I know it's a major topic right now, but how is this involved with the services that you're providing?
Yeah, so it's funny. There's actually some competitors that we have in the space who are completely AI based.
Mhm.
There's a few out there that leverage it to almost like 100 to 90% to even 50% of their of their service offering. We actually lean in a different direction. So we believe that this type of call, this type of patient really requires the human element. So all of our patient advocates are real people that are coming from a dentistry background, that are sitting in their home office, ready to take the call to, again, build that relationship and that trust with the patient. AI is not quite there today, at least in its current form, to be able to do that. I think this is going to be one of those conversations, just like how you and I have a friendly relationship that you have to be able to do with another human. So while I think there's a lot of great AI tools out there that are really great on the general dentistry side, that are great for setting like lower value treatments, GD stuff, like great all day, use it for that. But for this side of it, I think it requires more of that human touch. Now, our team does have AI enabled tools within our call center parameter that helps them to be more efficient and to help with scheduling and help them do their jobs better. But that thus then allows them to be able to focus more on the call and be more human. So we are a human first business all the way.
Okay. And so if you were a practice owner listening today and you wanted to improve your case acceptance immediately, what are three things that a practice owner should evaluate in their current processes?
Yeah, I think the number one thing is how fast you get to these leads. So
Okay.
while a patient who's inquiring again about a cleaning or a filling or whatever, um, if they are coming in through your website and waiting for you to call them back, they're usually the tolerance of time for you to follow up with them is greater because it's like, yeah, it's kind of like, oh, I'll get to this cleaning, they'll follow up with me, no problem. But when it comes to something that is so in depth, like a full mouth reconstruction or an implant or any sort of oral surgery, that patient, if you're not getting to them within 5 to 10 minutes, they are either changing their mind to do it or they are going somewhere else. So it's really strike while the iron's hot. And so we call it speed to lead. So you have to think about how quickly you're responding. And if you aren't getting to that lead in moments, you're ultimately going to lose them. So that would be the first one. Second would be specialization around that role. And so I think we've kind of talked about that a little bit, Adrienne, here is
Hmm.
that either transitioning someone in your front office to be able to handle these leads coming in full time, right? Like they can't be doing something else because if they're doing something else and they don't have the speed to lead, we need them to be able to specialize in having this difficult but also uh, lovely human conversation. They have to be really, really good at that. And so you got to either transition someone from that task orientation to that goal orientation and really be that person who is going to be dedicated to working this lead pipeline. That's really important. And then the last piece of it, I would say, is persistence because even if you get to that lead quickly and you have a person who's good at having that call or handling that call, that patient may not pick up on the first call. They may not pick up on the second call or the third. You have to be able to work those leads over multiple touch points over like a week of time before you consider that lead dead. So
Yeah.
one of the things that we do when we come in and we start working with a new practice is we kind of analyze that and we say like, hey, how many touch points do you have with your patients? And they'll say like, one, two, and we're like, oh boy, you need to do at least like 10, maybe 15 to
Yeah.
really get that patient engaged because Maybe they filled out a form on your website and the form comes in, but maybe they were filling it out at work and they couldn't answer the phone then. So are you going to call them later? Are you going to send them a text message? Are you going to send them an email? So it's you have to do different modes of communication and you have to do multiple different touch points. Is your team set up to do that? If they're
Right.
doing, if they're wearing multiple hats, they're doing different things. I can tell you right now they're not. And that's why having that, going to that second point, which is the specialization, is really important. So having a good lead nurturing schedule is what will ultimately get those patients engaged. It's funny, we've had some clients where we've come in to their dashboard and they'll have like hundreds of leads sitting in there in various like stages in their CRM, from first call all the way to like never responded. And we'll go in there, and one of the first things we'll do is we'll try to retouch all those and move them through and clean them up. And sometimes we'll see leads that have been in there for over a year. And yeah, right. Now it's funny, but like they were just never able to get a hold of the patient. And then we'll get the patient on the phone and was like, "Hey, I saw that you had inquired like a year ago. Just wanted to see if now's a better time for you. The doctor has some great offerings for you. We'd love to talk more about what this transition looks like for you." And the patient goes, "Actually, now's such a better time. I'm glad that you reached out to me.
I
I
was gonna
actually
say
really
sometimes it
wasn't."
might even take that long.
Sometimes it can. And
Mhm.
so, but where maybe your front office would have given up on that, we're coming in and then retouching them and then getting them in the chair. So I think those are maybe three really good things: speed to lead, specialization, and persistence.
So I see a note here. It says re-engagement of stale leads.
That's it.
It's a thing.
That's it.
It's a thing, and you never know where those can take you. And I'm sure there's plenty of offices that have those just sitting around that are
Exactly.
they're not doing anything with.
More often
So
than not. And these leads are
yeah.
expensive. So if you're spending like $100 per lead, like which is average in big case marketing, that's $100. And if you got 20 of those sitting there, you got that's 2 grand. Like I think it'd be worth to give those one more touch.
So if we're now obviously, one practice, good. Tell me about your business in terms of scalability and what that looks like in working with DSOs or maybe some that are specialty focused, I would say, because
Mhm.
obviously these are bigger cases. So I wouldn't say like a GP DSO, but maybe a DSO that is looking for more high value cases. What does that look like for you? Is that something that you are looking for?
Yeah, I mean that's definitely something that we have near term and are doing with some DSOs now. So we work with a lot of single or private practice that have multiple locations. We have a handful of DSOs that we've been working with, and granted, we just actually the company just turned two, so pretty excited about our trajectory over the past couple years. But yeah, for us, the thought is that anything from like Invisalign up to full arch is kind of where we fit. And so whether that's a super GD or a collection of super GDs or a DSO that has a bunch of super GDs, great. We can service them. Or on the other side of it, like you said, being specialized, whether that's oral surgeons or orthodontists, whatever it might be, that requires again that human conversation to get that lead through the door. We can
Mhm.
service all of those. And so when we work with a DSO, typically what we do is we come in and we say, okay, tell us about whatever set of practices you want us to represent. Are they served as like individuals because maybe they each have a different name and a different doctor, or is it they all have the same kind of name? So it all just depends on how we kind of set up our flow with our patient advocates and how we answer the phone and schedule patients in different locations. We've kind of got that system down. But yeah, we definitely love serving multi-location businesses.
Awesome. So what is your website? If somebody wanted to come and take a look at what you have to
Yeah.
do, fill out some forms, where could they go?
BriteLineDental.com, and that's
Okay, I was going to say
BRITELINE.
it's spelled different. So
Yes,
BRICE line
dot com.
dental.com. Okay.
You got it. Yeah,
Okay, and I'll post
BRITE.
a link
Yes.
as well and
Yep.
tag
You
you.
got it.
And then I know that you speak a lot about these topics. So if there's, if somebody's listening here that needs a speaker for this category, I'm sure.
Would
You can
love
reach out to
to.
Tim about that as well.
Yeah, practice
Um,
marketing and lead
More
flow
dentists
and
need education on these things. So,
yeah,
yeah.
patient experience kind of it all kind of weaves into that. Those are all things that I love to talk about. I've been a marketer, gosh, since I got out of college forever ago. I'll won't date myself, but been working in marketing for a long time, and so it's fun to be on this side of it to just doing the lead piece because I know how hard the agency side can be. I know probably a lot of your listeners are working with agencies. We're
Yep.
not that, right? We're specialists in just the lead management piece of that
Right.
business, and so it's fun to be part of that ecosystem, though.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and hopefully, some people listening learned some good information.
Hopefully, yeah, we'll leave some nuggets behind.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Tim. Have a good day.